Good morning, all of you. I welcome you all to Ansarkari. So today we'll be going through the important articles from 5th of January's newspaper. So firstly, we'll take up the Hindu. So the first important article is regarding the green hydrogen mission. So the main motive behind this mission is firstly to reduce the fossil fuel imports. Second is to decarbonize the major sectors of our economy. And thirdly, turn the country into a global hub of production and export of green hydrogen. And looking into the details about this mission, so firstly, GH2, that is G stands for green and H2 is hydrogen. So green hydrogen, what are the promises and challenges? So firstly, hydrogen, it produced that is said to be green if all its inputs are green. And inputs are green in the sense that they are not generating the greenhouse gases, and they are not polluting the environment. So that's why when the inputs that are used to produce the hydrogen, they are green, then we categorize or term it as a green hydrogen. So decarbonization plans of many countries include green hydrogen because combusting the hydrogen releases only heat and steam. So when you combust the green hydrogen, the byproducts are only heat and steam, and no greenhouse gases are released. And 60% of India's energy comes from the fossil fuel sources as of now. So we are 60% dependent upon meeting our energy requirements on the fossil fuels. And the production model of the choice of green hydrogen is through the electrolysis of water. So how do we produce green hydrogen is by electrolysis of water, and that is a green process. And India currently lacks the required electrolyzers, and we need cheaper renewable energy. So firstly is we lack on, we can say, the raw materials that are required to produce a huge amount of green hydrogen, and secondly the cost is also higher as of now. So technologies to adapt the hydrogen fuel cells for use in vehicles, they are also largely immature in India. And hydrogen leaks easily, so liquid hydrogen, it reacts explosively with air, incurring significant storage and transport costs. So these are, we can say, some of the benefits and how green hydrogen is produced, what are the challenges that exist in case of India. So the mission would be instrumental in making India energy independent. So as I said, that we are dependent upon importing crude oil and other, we can say, energy raw materials, even in case of the electrolyzers. So in order to become energy independent, so as to not being dependent upon the other countries, the outside world, is also one of the aim behind this green hydrogen mission, and it is called SITE. So SITE stands for Strategic Interventions for Green Hydrogen Transition Program, and the ministry is the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. So this is all about the green hydrogen mission. And talking about Karnataka's Mahadayi River Water Project. So it is located on the river Mahadayi, and it is located in the state of Karnataka, but there are certain disputes raised by the state of Goa. So this project involves construction of dams on the Kalasa and the Banduri tributaries of the Mahadayi, or we also call it as the Mandovi River. And this project has been given a go ahead by the Central Water Commission, so you can find out more about it. And the project aims to provide drinking water in drought hit northern Karnataka, especially in Dharwad, Belgavi, then Bagalkot, and the Gadak regions. But as we see that the people from Goa, they are opposing this diversion of water towards Karnataka. And talking about another incidence of data breach, given that we are coming up with Digital India Bill and the Data Protection Bill, so we are seeing such incidences that are happening. Few days back, we saw the AIMS was attacked by such incidents. So another data breach incident, it has been seen in the train ticketing platform, which is the Rail Yatri, and we need to ensure that such incidents do not happen in future, given the two bills that we are coming up and the consumer's data is not compromised with. Then coming to the services PMI, that is Services Purchasers Manager Index. So it shows surge in the month of December, and we also see that private sector output growth rises to 11-year high. So the services sector is performing very nicely even when we talk about the services exports, which becomes important in reducing our current account deficit. So we see that this growth has been majorly led by the finance and the insurance services. And however, we see slowest expansion in real estate and the business services. So when you look at this graph, there was a steep decline. This was when the COVID-19 the pandemic started, and after that it increased sharply, and then also again it saw some drop, and again it has gained 58.5 level. So this is, we can say, one of the positive things for our economy, and it is showing that the domestic economy is performing nicely. And given the global headwind, so we also expect that a domestic sector is going to play an important role. Coming to urban planning, so there is one solution to tackling the rapid rising population is coming up with the satellite towns. So satellite towns, basically they are the towns which are located, which are constructed in the vicinity of the principal or the core city, and they can also be specialized, like they can have specialization in business orientation. So that's how we are saying that in urban planning, satellite townships, they become important. Then we see that Talacauvery is South India's top star party destination. So Talacauvery in the Kodagu district of Karnataka is the source of the Kaveri river also, and it has emerged as South India's Hanlie. So Hanlie, it is located in Ladakh, and it is known for its pristine skies and minimal light pollution, and it is also India's first dark sky reserve. So this becomes important for PT, and a dark sky reserve is a designation given to a place that has policies in place to ensure that a tract of land or region has minimal artificial light interference. And talking about South India, so the most dark sky locations, they are in the Western Ghats, and the Talakaveri in the Kodagu district of Karnataka has emerged as South India's Hanley. So you should be clear with all these facts. Then we should be knowing that Silent Valley National Park is there in the state of Kerala, and we see that the bird species in the Silent Valley, the number goes up to 175 as per the bird survey, and this is important for PT. Now, coming to the editorial section, so we see mixed signals when we look at the macroeconomic data. So, on the first page, we saw that the services PMI is performing very nicely. We see good momentum, but we also see that manufacturing sector has gained momentum, but we cannot say that the situation is calm as far as inflation is concerned, because the core inflation stands at 6%. So that is still a cause of concern for us, and that's why we are seeing mixed signals. And the purchasing managers index of the manufacturing and services sectors for December, it offers mixed signals on the underlying momentum in the economy. And we also saw that the recent data, including the official index of 8 core industries for November, was also like it showed growth, but not we can say the expected level of growth, or it did not see any, we can see, major growth in the 8 core industries. Now, talking about gaming and gambling, so it is important to maintain a right balance between our economic rights, personal freedoms, and social imperatives. So there are certain questions which still remain unanswered as far as regulating the online gaming industry is concerned, as recently the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, it proposed that the online gaming industry would be regulated under the IT Act rules of 2021. So some things are still missing, and it proposed establishment of self-regulatory organizations and bodies that will be regulating the gaming industry. There'll be collection of know your customer information from the players, and appointment of grievance officer within the company. So these things are mentioned in the rules of the IT Act 2021, but the center's draft, it remains ambiguous on the question of whether states they can have additional restrictions as per the need. And the gaming industry, it is huge potential as an economic driver of growth in India. So there is a strong case for robust regulation and of skill or of chance. So games are of two types: game of skill and game of chance. So game of chance, they relate to gambling, and be it any type of game, all the online games, they impact the individuals and society in the short and the long term, and hence the regulation becomes important given its growing size. And talking about the definition, so definition of an online game, it is limited as of now, and it is expected that it may be expanded in future to include all games in a broader sense. And the government has said that the goal is to facilitate the industry and not to hinder its growth. So it is important to protect the interest of the consumers who are involved in the gaming industry, and to curb violent, addictive, and sexual content in the video games is also important. Then we talk about the value of the local self-governance. So we saw in December 1992, Parliament passed two amendment acts. One was the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, which related to establishing panchayats at the village level, and 74th Constitutional Amendment Act was regarding municipalities in urban areas. So they sought to institute a third tier of governance in the federal framework through the devolution of functions, funds, and functionaries to the local governments. And we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the same. So there are certain questions like, why should the local governments be empowered? Why are they weak despite the constitutional reforms and completing 30 years of establishment? And how can the idea of local self-governance be revived? So, what are the normative bases of the local self-governance? So, the normative bases, they become important. So the first one is that they provide for efficient provision of the public goods, since the governments with smaller jurisdictions, they can provide services in an efficient manner as per the preferences of the residents of the region. So this is, we can say, one important reasons why do we need the local self governments. And the second is that it promotes deeper democracy, since the governments that are closer to the people, they allow citizens to engage with public affairs more easily and more closely and in a transparent manner. So these two factors become important in order to substantiate that what is the importance of a local self-government and why do we need them. So it becomes important to, regularly conduct the local elections, provide for the reservation of seats for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and women in the local councils, and institute participative forums like Gram Sabhas in case of panchayats and ward committees in the municipal corporations. So, despite the constitutional promise of local governance, local governments, especially the municipalities, they operate with limited autonomy and the authority. So here we are dealing in detail about the lack of effective implementation of these norms. So when we look at the case of municipalities, they operate with limited autonomy and authority, and we know that 74th constitutional amendment was brought out to establish municipalities in urban areas. So we see the failure of the state governments and the courts to implement and interpret the amendment in letter and spirit. And talking about the limitations, so the discretion given to the state governments regarding the devolution of powers and levying of the local taxes to the, we can say, the panchayati raj institutions and the municipalities is, we can say, one of the challenges because of which we see that things have not been implemented effectively as it was desired. And then courts, they have also mostly interpreted the 74th amendment narrowly, allowing the state governments to retain their control over the cities. So obviously state governments, they do not want to reduce their power and give powers to these local self-governance institutions. And Patna High Court recently, in its recent order, it declared some provisions of the Bihar Municipal Amendment Act 2021 as unconstitutional, which is path-breaking because it has identified the lacunas and how things are not like working as they should be. So, as India is undergoing a centralizing shift in its politics, economy, and culture, there's also been a renewed assertion of federalism. So, debates on federalism should include larger discussions on how power should be divided and shared between the governments at the union, state, and local level, since local governments they are normatively and structurally an integral part of the federal framework of the constitution. And I hope this is clear to all of you, and let's move ahead. So we see a drastic decline in black fever, which is also known as Kalazar, and we are on a mission to eradicate the black fever or Kalazar from India by 2023. So we saw a decline from 44,533 cases in 2007 to now 834 in 2022, which is definitely a drastic decline. And we have talked about this topic in detail a number of times, which is about the Jallilkattu practice. So we'll just see the important highlights. That is, obviously, yesterday only we discussed that we await the Supreme Court's verdict regarding the Jallilkattu practice. So, the verdict of a five-member constitution bench of the Supreme Court on batch of the petitions who are seeking to strike down the 2017 Tamil Nadu law that protects Jallilkattu, a traditional event involving bulls. It is expected next week, and Jallilkattu, it is a religious and cultural event that is celebrated by the people of Tamil Nadu. They describe Jallikattu as a tool for conserving this precious indigenous breed of livestock, and the Tamil Nadu government argued that the traditional event did not violate the principles of compassion and humanity, and it added that any ban on such a practice would be viewed as a hostile to culture and against the sensitivities of the community. So this is the view of the Tamil Nadu government, and the petitioners who have filed a petition in Supreme Court, they argue that animal life was inextricably connected to the lives of humans, and according to them, extreme cruelty was inflicted on these animals in this Jallikattu practice. So let's see what is going to be the Supreme Court judgment. Now, talking about why a high power Ladakh committee has been formed. So the committee, it is going to discuss measures to protect the region's Ladakh's unique culture and language, taking into consideration its geographical location and the strategic importance, and ensure a protection of land and employment for the people of Ladakh, strategizing the inclusive development. So, back in 2019, when Ladakh was declared as a union territory, so people feared that big businesses would come up and conglomerates, they would be taking away their land and jobs from the local people. So, in this backdrop, this committee was formed, and the people, they also demand for including the area under the sixth schedule of the constitution. So what is sixth schedule all about? So under article 244 of the constitution, it protects the autonomy of the tribal populations through creation of autonomous development councils, which can frame laws on land, public health, and agriculture. So as of now, there are 10 autonomous councils which exist in the 4 states, which includes Assam, Meghlaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. And if we go by the 2011 census, we see that total population of Ladakh was 274,000 and approximately 300 people, and nearly 80% of them are tribal people. So on these bases, the people, they are demanding for inclusion under the sixth schedule. But when we talk about what is the government stand, so they say that the objective for inclusion of tribal population under the sixth schedule is to ensure their overall socio-economic development, and the UT administration, it has already been taking care of this thing, so there is no need of their inclusion under the sixth schedule. And also, the Ladakh administration recently it increased the reservation for the scheduled tribes in direct recruitment from 10% to 45%, which will significantly help the tribal population in their development. So the government does not feel the need of inclusion under the sixth schedule. However, people want to be included under the same schedule, and that's why this high-powered committee has also been formed. So this article, which is again emphasizing the thing that we are practicing, that is how important it is reading newspapers for the civil services examination. So this article has been written by Gamini Singla, who had cleared the 2021 civil services examination with All India rank 3. So she says that newspaper is one of the most important things for all the 3 rounds, be it prelims, mains, or the interview. And you need to have a different perspective when you are preparing for prelims through newspaper, for mains, and respectively for interview. So that's how newspaper is important, and this thing has been emphasized in this article, so you can go through it once if you want. And as we were discussing about the green hydrogen mission, so it is also going to focus upon facilitating public-private partnership framework for more research and development. So even that element has been included. Now, talking about the acid attacks, we do not have a cohesive law and a legal process to deal with such cases. So talking about the states which have highest number of cases regarding the acid attacks, so West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh, they account for the highest number of cases, almost equaling to 50% of the cases which occur in only these 2 states. And we lack a cohesive legislation in regulating the sale of these acids. These are even online available. You can buy through the online e-commerce website, as we saw in a recent incident where the accused, they bought it from Flipkart. So they are easily available. We do not have any regulation on the sale of assets, and in ensuring punishment for the perpetrators, that is probably the chief reason of misusing acids. And if we look at a case study that is from Bangladesh, where we once see highest number of cases of acid attacks, which were around 496 in 2002. The number they have dropped to 70 in 10 years after the Bangladesh came up with 2 laws which were dealing with the crimes related to acid attacks. So post implementation of the 2 acts, the Bangladesh, it saw a drastic decline in the number of acid attacks, and it dropped down to 70 in only 10 years. So that's how we can say important is to have a cohesive law dealing with such crimes. And in India, the National Commission for Women, it floated a draft prevention of offences by acid bill in 2008, but still it failed to see the light of the day. So we do not have a cohesive law as of now. And post the Nirbhaya gang rape and the formation of the Justice Verma Committee in 2013, the Union government amended Indian Penal Code, recognizing acid attacks as a separate offense with a minimum punishment of 10 years and a maximum of life imprisonment. So certain changes have been made, but we do not have, we can say, a single thing to deal with such cases. And also, same year in 2013, Supreme Court also issued certain directives regarding the sale and the procurement of acid in India, which was sought to be now regulated under the Poison Act of 1919. So its sale is regulated under this act. And additionally, the court also instructed the governments to issue acid sale licenses to select retailers. But across the country, and especially in rural India, there is little awareness about the laws and guidelines that are there to regulate their sale and procurement. And also, most of the attacks, they take place in rural and semi-rural areas, but the ones which happen in urban areas are only highlighted. And there is a need for a blanket ban on the use of acids except for industrial use. So over the years, there have been many private members bills introduced in the parliament also. However, the government has made no effort to adopt a singular comprehensive bill regarding acid attacks. Then on the business page, we see that CERC orders payment to the coal power units for forced output. So last year, power stations who were using the imported coal, they had ceased operating because of high increase in the input prices. So they were importing the coal, but due to increase in the prices, they stopped producing. And the government at that time, it directed the producers to resume the generation to meet the high demand at that point of time. So in this backdrop, CERC, that is the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, which is the regulatory commission For this sector, it is ordered to issue payments and release payments to these power units who were forced to produce output because there was high demand at that point of time. And talking about the cards and mobiles and the net banking, they are the top complainant areas at the banking ombudsman said by RBI. So there's a scheme that is the ombudsman scheme, which was released, and it is shows that in 2021-22 the number of cases reported increased by almost 9.4%. So issues related to ATM or debit cards and the mobile or electronic banking, they were the top grounds of complaints received at the office of banking ombudsman. And China's COVID cases and the global economy, it fears the economy fears drag the oil. So oil prices are falling because of, firstly, the rising COVID cases in China and the global uncertainties that we have. And India lags in automation of industry despite possessing the tech prowess. This is what our robotics industry is to say. And while China claims a density of 187 robots for every 10,000 employees, but India, it is just 4 for 10,000 employees, which is very low. And India's industrial robotic market stood at 3,200 units in 2020, and the expected rise is up till 28,000 units by 2030. So we need to focus upon this thing. Now let's take up the Financial Express. So in Financial Express, firstly in this picture, you can see all the planets of our solar system are visible. And this phenomenon is known as the planet parade. So you can see the names have been mentioned here. You can see Jupiter, you can see Mercury and Venus, you can see Mars over here, and all the respective planets are visible in just a single picture, in a single view. So we need synergy in skill schemes. So there's a need for creating a greater synergy among the skill development schemes of all ministries, which will be further aligning the skill development efforts and fast tracking implementation to create impact at larger scale. Then a new world order. So our external affairs minister says that we are already living in dangerous times, and this transition to the new world order will take a long time because change is very big that is happening right now. And the Americans, they were the quickest to realize that they had to reposition themselves and seek cooperation with countries like India. So this article is, we can say, dealing with the case study of Amul, or the other way that is there for the like the milk industry is you can either provide MSP for procuring milk, or you can go the Amul way, that is through the cooperative sectors model. So recently we saw that in Himachal Pradesh, the new CM, he has promised an MSP for the milk. So in this backdrop, we are comparing out of these two models, which one is more desirable, and which we can also say on the basis of evidence which has been proved more successful. So the Amul example, it shows how the cooperative model, it has created an enabling environment for the milk producers. So here we'll be dealing and understanding how this Amul model works and how decentralized it is. So firstly, we'll look at what has been the model proposed by the Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister. So he says that we'll streamline the milk procurement. We'll offer to buy 10 liters of milk from every family and set up chilling plants and resell the milk in the market at a subsidy. And he also says that we will recover the cost by levying a cess on the sale of liquor. So this is his model, what he has proposed for boosting growth in the milk industry. But now we'll be dealing and understanding how the Amul model works. So we know that whenever we talk about milk industry, so the first thing that comes to our mind is the Anand model or the Amul model. And the Amul, it is managed by the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. So how does the milk collection, processing, production work under this cooperative model is important to understand. So firstly, it starts from the first unit that is there in its supply chain, which is at the village level. So the village, it supplies milk to this Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing. So basically, the producers of village, they collect the milk, or they deposit the milk at the village dairy cooperative society, which is there for the village level. So they have a collection center in the village itself, and they are selling their milk to this village dairy cooperative society. So where a procurement supervisor, he receives the milk from the producers, and every village dairy cooperative, they also have a secretary and a chairman. So there is no limit on the quantities of milk a producer can sell. So there is no limit. You can sell as much as you want, or as much as you have. And every collection center has an automatic milk testing machine. So where the weight, volume, fat, and the percentage of SNF is calculated, and that is obviously all the calculation is happening through the machine in a transparent way in front of the seller. So the center, it displays the price offered by the price offered per liter for given fat, and that's how we can see even the farmers, they are getting the amount, and milk is, when the milk is received, they sell the milk. These parameters, they appear on the screen, and the amount payable to the villager is also known immediately. So there is, we can say, no delay or no lacuna when it comes to even the price calculation. So the amount payable, that is directly transferred by the milk union to the milk producers bank accounts. So we see that how quickly and how transparently the things, they're functioning and working at the first level, that is at the village level. So here you see that the milk is collected at the village level, then it is after collecting, it is transferred to the chilling centers, and further there, the big tankers, they transport it to the processing plants. So that's how it works. And when we sum up this entire supply chain, we see firstly there is milk producers at the village level, then we have the village dairy cooperative centers, after that we have the district milk unions, and then we have the state milk federations. So this is the entire supply chain, how things are working under this Amul model. And at the district level, it provides the village dairy cooperatives with subsidized cattle feeds, also veterinary services, animal breeding services, rural health schemes, and a team of veterinary doctors to assist the milk producers. So even these services are provided by the district level center to the village dairy cooperative center, and it also gives dividends and bonuses and additional price differences to the milk producers. So the district milk unions, they make the products, and they basically make certain products under the brand Amul for the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. And when it comes to marketing and the last mile distribution of the products, so it is the responsibility of, again, the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, which is managing this entire model. So the surplus, even in case of surplus sale, we see that the bonus is shared amongst the three levels. That is, firstly, it is shared with the milk producers at the village level, or we can say at the village dairy cooperative centers level. And secondly, they are shared with the milk union level, that is at the district level. And thirdly, at the manager level, that is, who is managing the entire supply chain, that is the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. So three levels, that is village, district, and the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation. So bonus is also shared amongst them. And uh, so this is, we can say, it was how things, they are working in a transparent, in a decentralized manner, and farmer is also aware of each and everything. There is no opaqueness that we could have identified under the working of the system. So that is, we can say, how this system is so clear and working in an efficient manner is how it reflects the popularity of the system and the successful working of it. So when we look at this MSP model, which has been proposed by the Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister, he says that obviously government would be having a role in this case. So whenever even in history we look at certain examples where government played important role, we saw that it led to breeding of corruption and inefficiencies, and also, as you said, that we would be recovering the cost by levying cess on the sale of liquor. So this is known as cross subsidizing. So this also encourages inefficiencies, and this rarely works. So it is very clearly visible that the cooperative sector model is more reliable than depending upon MSP for the milk sector. Now we'll be looking at labeling for the efficient energy use. So energy efficiency, it is a key pillar of India's climate action plan. So here two things are important. First is energy efficiency and second is renewable energy when we talk about our climate action plan. And when we talk about energy efficiency, so obviously the Bureau of Energy Efficiency becomes important. So it has recently tightened the standards for some white goods when it comes to the star labeling norms. So it has tightened the norms for refrigerators from January 1, which requires separate star labeling for the freezers and the refrigerators. And also in, we can say, the existing refrigerators with 3-star rating, they will become 2-star label because of the changed norms. And also star labeling has been mandated for the ceiling fans for the first time, and only rated ones they can be made and sold in India from now onwards. So what is star labeling or star rating? So it is a way of describing the energy performance of a product, the energy efficiency of a product, and it denotes the energy efficiency of an appliance of a particular brand in comparison to similar offerings from other brands. So it is thus a comparative label rather than an endorsement label. So through this star rating, basically you can compare one product, that is you can compare a refrigerator of two brands on the basis of the star rating that they have. So that's how it becomes a comparative model and it is not an endorsement label. And every appliance in the Bureau of Energy Efficiency is list. So there are 28 appliances and 10 of them have mandatory labeling and there is voluntary labeling for 18 of them. So they get a rating between 1 and 5 stars. So manufacturers, they share the data about an appliance directly with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So because of this change in norms, in the star labeling norms, we see that the appliances, they are becoming costlier because that would be requiring some changes in its design. And talking about the benefits, so the 7 to 8% higher prices for the ceiling fans because of latest norms. So this is, we can say, as I said, that change in norms would lead to increase in the prices of the appliances. And we saw 239.78 billion units of electricity saving because of star ratings in 2020-21. So star labeling, what are the challenges and its potential for climate action? So the major challenge is again the same, that it would be pushing up the cost of different appliances if a higher rating is aimed. And energy efficiency, in turn, it has the maximum greenhouse gas abatement potential of around 51%, followed by the renewables at 32%. So that's why energy efficiency is very, very important apart from renewable energy. And according to BEE, the successful implementation of energy efficiency measures contributed to electricity saving of around 17.4% of the total electricity consumption of the country. So this is what we can say has been our achievement when we talk about the energy efficiency and the norms that were implemented for it. Now we'll take up the mint. So in mint, what is important is, firstly, in this graph, it is showing the highest number of cases regarding the cyber crime have been reported from which all states. So the highest cases were reported from Telangana, you can see in this map. In Telangana, followed by Assam, then we had Karnataka and Uttarakhand. So this is the state of cyber crimes, and we see that Telangana, Uttar Pradesh, and Karnataka, they alone made up half of all the cases. And among cities, Bengaluru and Hyderabad are more vulnerable. And the increased reporting, it shows higher awareness and willingness among the people to seek redressal. So in this bar diagram, you can see this is showing the rise in reporting of the cases. So because of this, it is pointing towards the fact that people are now more aware and they're more willing when it comes to seeking redressal to such a cyber crimes. And but where we lack is that we do not have adequate infrastructure yet, and India had just 202 cybercrime dedicated police stations at the end of 2020, and we have outdated frameworks, we lack technical know-how and the limited facilities to deal with cyber crimes, which is translated into low conviction rates of the accused, and given the cyber attacks, they get increasingly sophisticated. So that's all for today. Thank you for joining in Sarkari. I hope you've understood the key details that we discussed today. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share this video as much as possible. Thank you again for joining us.